Alright, welcome to a series I've been meaning to do for a while, and just to get things off from the top. Yes, I know this fire looks bad. It's currently a fire ban season, and if I were to start a fire, I would get arrested, so we're using a green screen fire. Secondly, I hope you like the armor. It might improve throughout this series, but I don't know. We're out of corrugated iron. Anywho, in this series I'm going to be going through every single player PC released Elder Scrolls game. I'm not going to be doing any MMOs or phone games because I don't have the time for that, and I don't have a phone to play the modern games, and I haven't gotten the Java emulator yet, so I'll probably do that later. So I'm going to be outlining sort of rules for this series, just so I don't have to repeat myself in future videos. I'm only going to be going through the main quest, all the DLCs, and as much side content as I'm willing to put up with. As some games are not going to have a lot of side content, so I'll cover most of it. Some games have too much. I don't know which ones because I haven't played all of them yet, but I'm just going to be putting this out now. Onto the video. So this game runs terribly. I know it's made on DOS, but for some reason every single DOSBox emulator that comes pre-packaged with the game never seems to work. But luckily, as all Bethesda games has, there's a fan patch by, I know I'd forget the name so I wrote it down, a RedBerylFTW on Steam. They made a quick outline of all the settings you got to change in config files, and they also made a little mod for it on Nexus. They did design this around the Steam version. I was using the GOG version, but it works the same. You just got to add a couple of extra lines and the folders are in different locations. So thanks to them, you're getting this video running at a better frame rate than how I experienced my first time attempting this. So the story of Arena is you're a minor member of the Imperial Court, and Tharn, the Imperial Mage, traps Septim VII, which, yes, the same Emperor from Oblivion. Just as a side tangent that I realised while playing through these games is, it must have sucked to be an elf during these games, because for about 50 years the world nearly ended like 4 times, and then you get 200 years of nothing. You think they'll just have a couple of panic attacks just waiting for something to happen? You know, these are the reasons I'm running a YouTube channel and not a successful job. Anyway, Tharn traps the Septim in some plane of Oblivion and kills anyone who questions his new rules as Emperor. You're one of those people which you just trapped in a dungeon and always forget her name because it's an Elder Scrolls name. Rhea Silmain, who was Tharn's apprentice but he killed her for knowing too much. She guides you through the sewers and escape to figure out what you're supposed to do to save Tamriel. Should probably talk about the gameplay now, shouldn't I? So the controls for Arena are very 1994, with arrow keys for movement and the letter keys for hotkeys. Since, you know, for someone who's grown up playing a lot of modern games, that does not work with me, especially with the mouse controls. So I went through the DOSBox config and just rebinded everything. So your standard forwards and back with W and S, and turning left and right with A and D. I only found out midway through the playthrough that you can actually strafe in this game, but it's the bad Wolfenstein strafing, so you're not really going to be using that all that much. Now, there are some, for attacking I put Q for casting spells because that's just easy to just switch to, and attacking and interacting is the only thing I didn't really mess with. To interact with stuff you use left click, and to swing your weapon you hold down right click and flail your mouse around wildly. It is supposed to be set up that you can move your mouse in specific directions to attack a certain way, as you put it forwards to stab, downwards to slash, that sort of stuff, but you don't need to do that. Just waving the mouse around and hoping for the best works perfectly fine for me. So for this part of the gameplay, I'm taking a lot of information from the Arena Codex Scientia. I don't know how to pronounce that name and I didn't want to look it up. So the 3 bars you really got to care about is your health, fatigue, and magic. Your health is how much you can get hit. Your fatigue is pretty useless to care about, as I've never had an instance of it running out. I do know that if it runs out when you're swimming, you drown, but you're camping constantly, so you're fine. It's always refilling. And magic is how much you can cast spells. I'm sure someone who knows a lot more about this game than me is complaining that I don't know anything of what I'm talking about, but I didn't want to go spend 12 hours rifling through a wiki. I just wanted to go through the stuff Bethesda gives you. Now, each class can use different types of items. I've only played as a battle mage, so I can only talk about that, but there are 3 different types of armor you can get: leather, chain, and plate. The plate armors are a pain in the ass, as they cover, and I'm going to have to read down my list, iron, steel, silver, elven, dwarven, mithril, adamantium, and ebony. So those are the different types of plate armor you can get. You can get some shields, which are buckler, round, and kite. And kite are made out of the same stuff as the armor. The battle mage can only use leather armor, so that's all I really experienced. And since this part is going to be really annoying if I listed all the weapon types and all their materials, just know there's a lot of different weapons, and all of them have the different material subclasses. I think that's it for covering the gameplay. Onto the side content. Alright, so there's 2 main types of side quests in this game: NPC quests and artifact quests. The NPC quests, from what I found, are useless, as you just go around asking random people for work, and they say, oh, some person in a place wants help with this, so you go to them and they say, bring an item to a person within a couple of days and I'll give you 100 to 300 gold. So it's not really worth your time, because any dungeon can get you that much gold easily. But if you wanted to try to min-max, I don't know if that's the right word, but just try to get a bunch of items before going into your first dungeon, you could do that, but it'll be a pain in the ass the entire time. The artifact quests are a lot better use of your time, because they give you a Daedric artifact. So I decided to go for the ebony blade, because certain enemies can only be killed with certain material types and above, so I just decided to skip to the end because I didn't want to spend time looking for ebony weapons later on. So starting the quests are a prick. Once again, go to the Codex, which you can only really get in the GOG version, so I would recommend use the GOG version. Because certain artifact quests can only be started in certain provinces, because Bethesda hates you. So you go to a place which allows you to start the quest, and you just start asking random people about general stuff, and eventually they'll say something along the lines of that there is I heard item is being talked about by person in pub in location. And then you go there and get the item. So you go there and ask the person, and they send you to a dungeon, which is a perfect time to talk about why the dungeons suck. So, the dungeons are terrible. They're alright in concept, but the execution isn't that great. So, you go into any dungeon and you can only see about 2 meters in front of you, which is probably an engine limitation, but it isn't that great either way. Luckily, the game gives you a map, which reveals what you've seen on the map, so you can get an idea of where you've been. Problem is, it's far too zoomed in for you to get any idea of where you are properly and where you need to go next, so that's a problem. Luckily, the Codex gives you a display of each main quest dungeon. Problem is, they're designed for being in a book, so the Codex has them one on top of the other, which means to figure out where you need to go, you're constantly going back and forth. When it was a physical book, it was a proper map. Also, the lava and water textures just piss me off and I find it messy. The other problem is that none of these side quest dungeons have maps in the Codex, so for those ones you're completely on your own. Luckily for the Ebony Blade, it wasn't that bad. It only took me 15 minutes combined for the 2 dungeons. Now, I know you're probably thinking, why not just use the wiki? 2 main reasons. One, I kind of wanted to treat it like it was 1994 and only rely on stuff I could find. And secondly, the wikis, well, at least the UESP doesn't have the maps either, so you're shit out of luck. Back to the artifact stuff. So the guy who knows stuff about the artifact you're looking for gives you a map to a location. You go to that dungeon, and in it you find a tablet with the directions to the actual artifact. So you get that, then you go to the actual artifact place and get your artifact. From what I've found, you can only have one artifact at a time, probably because Bethesda didn't want you to be too powerful, but you know, they throw that out almost immediately. And apparently there is a glitch, so you can have more than one. It has something to do with giving it to a blacksmith to be repaired and the game forgets you've collected some, that sort of stuff. The two big artifacts I've seen people talk about is the Ebony Blade, which probably just because it's a good weapon you can get right at the start, and the Ogma Infinium, which gives you 50 points to distribute into your character. Anyway, I think I'm on to the main quest now. So the main quest is designed around a loop of you get a vision from Rhea saying that there's a place that she thinks the next dungeon's in, and you got to figure out where it is based on clues from what she's saying. So you go there, ask around random people, hey, do you know where this place is? And they say, I have heard some people talk about it in this town. So you go to the town that they say, and you either talk to the royals, the Mages Guild, or some temple. They'll say, yeah, I'll help you, but if you help me first. So they have some problem, you go and get their item, bring it back to them. They give you the map to the place you want to go. You go there, get a piece of the Staff of Chaos, try to leave. Tharn screams at you for being a prick, and you get a new vision from Rhea next time you sleep. So, by the fourth piece, I was basically mentally clocked out of what was happening and just going through the motions. So, I'm just going to be talking about tips and stuff that I found helpful in case you want to play this game. I find this game is greatly improved with the spells, as there's a certain selection of them which I find the game nearly unplayable without them, which spells are Levitation, Pastoral, Open, any healing spell, Resist Potions, and Cure Potions. The Levitation Potion just lets you levitate a bit off the ground so you can get over water and lava easier. Open lets you open any normally locked door. It helps it with a bit of key hunting. Cure potions are mainly for paralysis and poison and diseases. They sort of help you so you don't have to reload to save as much. And the resist potions are for fire, frost and shock, as some enemies deal elemental damage and mop the floor with you, so having any way to counteract that a bit helps. Pastoral is a godsend. I hate that it's been removed in every other game, but I understand why they removed it. The spell lets you remove 3 walls. So, let's just say there is a locked door and the key is on the other side of the dungeon. You could either go and look for the key, or use Pastoral and just destroy the wall next to the door. This has saved hours for me. So, make sure you get Pastoral, it will make the game a lot easier. Alright, here are a few miscellaneous tips which I couldn't find a good spot for, and since I have a bad memory I'll just list them out. You can swing weapons to open locked chests, use the codex for answers for riddles because fuck riddles. When exploring you'll find crystals and amulets. You take them to the Mages Guild and use detect magic on them. They reveal what enchantment or what material they're made out of, which if they have something you want to improve your armor, use them. If not, you can sell them for a fairly good profit. A couple of annoyances, which I was going to fit in somewhere else, but again, couldn't find a good spot. Spiders are a prick. They can sometimes paralyze you, which lets them just get some free hits on you, which means they're a constant pain if there's stronger enemies around them. Later on, the Medusas also get this power, but they can do it from a distance, and they do a fuck ton of damage, so they're a pain in the ass. The entrance to the Elder Grove is just there to try your patience. It isn't fun, it's just there to piss you off. When an item that you're wearing breaks, you lower your weapon, which, since I'm an idiot, I don't notice for a couple of seconds and you get killed. So, that's an annoyance. The final 2 dungeons suck, even more than normally, as they're just filled with higher tier enemies with more cramped locations, so you can't even try to dodge, just get piled on. The worst one of all is the final one, so let's just cover that now. Tharn is an absolute prick. The final dungeon is the worst experience I got in this game, so let's just cover that to round up the main quest as well. The first level isn't that bad, just some knights, nothing too dangerous. Every other level is just getting worse and worse. When you go down a level, it gets more cramped and higher tier enemies are in there, which culminates on the final level, which is trying my patience. It took me 2 hours and as many crashes. So, to go into the dungeon, the final level, you have to go through a specific door, otherwise you're stuck and you have to go back. But when you do go through the right door, it's a little spiral like this that are filled with liches. From what I had, I could not kill a lich. They deal way too much damage, regenerate like trolls, and they just suck. So my best method of dealing with it was just spamming healing while running through the dungeon and just hoping I could out-heal them. And then just get to Tharn's door, get through it, save the game, and then move on to the final area. For some reason, Bethesda decided to make Tharn the worst enemy in the game for the wrong reasons. So, he deals poison damage, large sums of damage, and can only be damaged by you with your fists, which are pretty useless. So, trying to outright kill him is a waste of time. Luckily, they did put in a better solution. So what I did to finally end this game is you go through the final door, use levitation, fly over the lava, use passball on a little alcove bit, which you can then go and collect a key, fly out of the hole in the wall, fly around into Tharn's chamber, open the door, and spam click on the jewel to end the game, and just hope the game registers before Tharn can kill you. If you do all this right, and he doesn't kill you or any of the liches in the room before you accomplish this, you get the ending cutscene and finish the Elder Scrolls Arena. So, Arena is very much of its time. Compared to every other Elder Scrolls game, it feels like a tech demo. Which begs the question, should you play it? Well, it is free on both Steam and GOG, so you're not losing any money not giving it a try, but again, just follow some of the tips I've said and don't try to beat the game in 1 week. Pace it out a bit so you can take a break and enjoy yourself. Second video, which is going to be on Daggerfall, is going to be out eventually. I just need to work up the courage to play through that game again. Tally-o.